Hello friends, followers and fellow flight simmers. Welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. As I mentioned in my previous video, this is the second video of the 146 Professional where we are going to look into radio navigation without using the FMS and flying the same route. It's not going to be exactly the same. Obviously we will not have ability to track the GPS waypoints, but this time we will be using the navigational radios and tuning VOR stations, ADF stations, and trying to get to Manchester like before. Currently we are situated at Dublin Airport. The aircraft is powered on. I'm not gonna go through the startup procedure again, and we are pretty much ready to discuss what we are going to do in terms of flight planning and how we are going to get there, and we will be on our way to Manchester. So let's jump into the cockpit for a little bit more silence, and then we will discuss about what we are going to do in terms of flight plan. I will bring up the little nav map window. That's what I used to plan the flight, and we will brief the departure and then make our final adjustments in terms of tuning the frequencies and adjusting the course, and we will be on our way. So let's take a look at the little nav map window now. As you see here, I hope you guys can see my cursor. We will be departing from runway 26 left and 28 left, I'm sorry, and we will be tracking 278 on the radial up to 6.4 miles, and then we will be commencing a right turn towards Dublin VOR, and then we'll be tracking on course 094 to Liffey. So that's pretty much the opposite side of the runway. We departed from runway 10 and tracked 098 to Liffey in the previous one, but this time, because that's an RNAV seed and this one is both an RNAV seed and a radio navigation seed, we will be perfectly fine by flying this. And I just wanted to show and demonstrate how you can fly with just the radio navigation and not using any GPS waypoints. So after that right turn, we will be on course 094 for Dublin VOR, and we will be on our way to Liffey. After Liffey, we will be tracking the Val VOR inbound and then outbound to Manchester, and then we will be tracking Manchester VOR and doing the same traffic pattern or published approach to land into Manchester using runway, one of the runways here. I think the last time I used the 36 Yankee ILS approach, and we will do the same. Alright, so let's tune these frequencies, and then we will be tuning more when we are en route. First one will be the Collinstown VOR 111.2. That will be our active on nav 1, 111.2, and we will make it active. And then the second one will be Dublin VOR 114.9er, which we will have to switch and track that on course 094. We will also tune 114.9er here as well to get the DME information on our nav 2 radio. For departure, our course will be 287. I am doing this and the screen is small, so but you are seeing here what I'm doing, and I can obviously switch back because you have seen the frequencies. So what I did so far is I tuned 111.2 active and 114.9er as standby, and 114.9er is active. We are reading the DME information for both. Course for nav 1 will be 278 for departure. That's set, and then the other course will be 094. which we will set on Nav 2 course. So that's pretty much our instruments ready for departure, and we are on APU power. Everything is set, including the TMS and speed bugs and fuel, whatnot, like before. We will be climbing straight to our let's take a look at this chart. This will make sense to see it here too. As I said, 278, 5 miles, and then at Dublin ADF, when we are overhead, we will commence a right turn to intercept Dublin VOR on course 0904 towards Liffey. So that's the routing. As I said, everything is set. Our initial climb, we need to be above 3000. We can perfectly climb to our cruising altitude of 21,000 feet, because all the restrictions we have on our routing is above restrictions, so we should be fine by climbing to our cruise level. Alright, that's also set. What I will do from here is I will start the engines and meet you guys at the hold short point of runway 28 left. See you at the runway. Welcome back, friends. We are currently holding short at runway 28 left, and we are ready for our departure. So let's jump into the cockpit and do our final preparations, and we'll be on our way. So taxi lights, landing lights comes on, taxi lights goes off, runway exit lights comes on, strobes do come on at this point. And in the last video I think I made a mistake. APU air stays on during takeoff and engine air stays off, and these are changed, and engine air comes on and APU is shut down when we are in climb. We'll turn on the continuous ignition. Everything else is looking good, nothing to worry about at the overhead. Hydraulic pumps are on, PTU is on, brake fans are auto, strobes are on. No smoking lights, I forgot to turn on, we can turn them on too. And that's it, let's line up and we'll be on our way. So what we will do is we will fly the departure, hand fly the departure and do not turn on the autopilot. And we will turn on the autopilot eventually to get there. So to do that, I'm gonna set my setting to 278, which is the runway heading. And then we will be hand flying using our instruments and our heading bar. Let's turn into the runway and line up as best as we can. There we go. Alright. Right, we're lined up on the runway, holding the brakes. We'll turn on the TMS and set takeoff. We'll alright, that's all good. Transponder is TARA, yaw damper is on, brake temperatures are displayed, and we are pretty much ready to roll and do our takeoff roll. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to DME hold to hold the DME for 111.2, and I'm gonna switch to 114.9. Why I'm doing this, I'm gonna follow heading bug, which is 278 degrees. And hold on, this is not runway 28 left, it's on our right. Okay, let's do this. This is the wrong runway. I lined up to the wrong one because this is the intersection of two runways, and 28 left, 278 is over on that side. Sorry about that. Welcome back, friends. We are currently lined up at runway 28 left and ready for our departure. What we will do is I'll talk about a couple things that I'm gonna do. We will hold the DME for 111.2, which we will read here and I had set this heading bug to runway heading, so we will fly the heading and fly the departure, hand fly the departure, and do not use the autopilot. And when we are at 5 miles, the hold will hold the DME for this frequency, and when we see 5 miles, we'll commence a right turn to 114.90. So I will switch the frequency, and I will set the course to 0904 so that I have something to rely on when I'm making that right turn. And we will intercept the course, engage the autopilot, and do the rest of the flight. One thing I forgot I told you guys wrong was about the bleed air. So APU air stays on during takeoff, engine air stays off, and APU is shut down during climb when engine air is turned on when we are in climb. Continuous ignition is on. anti-ice, we are not going to need it for our departure. Everything else is good. So we are ready to do our takeoff roll. Alright, we'll increase the throttle to 50%.
TMS set to takeoff.
TMS set to takeoff, and then we will go and increase our throttle to the bugs. Alright, that should do.
Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots cross-checked. Power set, N1 achieved.
Alright, almost there.
V1.
V1.
Rotate.
Rotate.
V2.
Alright.
Positive rate of climb, gear up.
Gear is coming up, and we are going to fly the heading. Oops, sorry about that. So we are at 1000 feet. We'll cut the throttles back just a little bit and then go to climb or sync mode on the TMS. And now we can turn the engine air on, APU air off, and APU gen off the bus, and we can shut down the APU now. Oops. We are going to bring the flaps in slowly. We are coming up to flap speed and ready to retract the flaps. So those warnings are for the APU. Flaps are in, and we will come back a little bit. We don't want to overspeed the aircraft, and we'll keep climbing. Still flying the heading, waiting for the 5 miles displayed on the DME here. We are at 2.5, so we are halfway there. Speed is looking good, and passing 5,000 we will set standard. This aircraft hand flies very nice. Alright, coming up to 4 miles, we are about to commence that right turn to 0904. .6, still flying the heading, off to the right a little bit, but we are fine. Left a little bit, but we're fine. You don't need to be super accurate. 5 miles, we are going to commence that right turn to Dublin VOR. Passing 5,000, we'll set standard. It's set now. Keep turning until we intercept that course on 0904. Maintain the pitch, trimming the aircraft to maintain the pitch so that I don't have to pull back on the yoke a whole lot, and still turning to the VOR. We will clean up the aircraft and do the after takeoff checklist here in a little bit. I just want to finish this turn and come on course, and then we will activate and engage the autopilot. Alright, almost there, just a little bit more, and the VOR course is coming in, as you see here. So we are about to intercept the WVOR. We will complete the turn and get on course, and then the autopilot should correct if we overshot that turn a little bit. Very nice, very nice. Still maintaining the climb, and there we go. Now we can level the wings. We are off to the left a little bit, so we will correct for that, but in the meantime what we can do is we can engage the autopilot. We can go vertical speed mode and localizer and arm the altitude. So now from here the aircraft should correct the course and get back on track and fly the rest of the flight following the WVOR. So we don't need the DME hold anymore. We will leave that alone for now, and as you see the aircraft is correcting itself. Perfect. Perfect. Beautiful. A little bit loud. Let's maintain 250. We don't want to pass 250. And we need to sink and keep climbing at a higher rate. So we will pitch the nose up to about there and resync, and the autopilot should take care of the rest. So we will keep the throttles around 88, 89 M1. And we are on our way. Alright, that's the departure, guys, using just the radios and not touching the FMS at all. And we'll keep climbing like this. Before I leave you guys until we reach the cruise, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tune the next frequency, which is going to be the VOR. That frequency is 114.10, so that will be on standby here. And we will also tune that to our Nav 2, so that we can see when we start to see the signal. So we are intercepting that signal. We can switch frequencies right now, but we will wait just a little bit more, and then I will change the frequencies, and by the time we reach to the cruising altitude, we will hopefully see that switched over. Let's turn off the landing lights, runway exit lights and seatbelt signs. We passed 10,000. And let's go and clean the aircraft up. PTU comes off. Engine pumps will stay on. Brake pumps are fine as they are. Down below, recirculation valve is on. Cabin packs are on. Engine air is on. APU is off. APU gen is off the bus, generators are online, and that's about it for the after takeoff checks. I will keep climbing like this and bring you guys back when we are at the cruising level. See you in a little bit. Welcome back, friends. We are at cruising at 21,000 feet, and we are tracking the VOR on our Nav Radio 2. If we get closer, we are 75 miles away, and we are still tracking the WVOR outbound on course 094. So it is time to change the frequencies, and what you need to do there is first you need to synchronize your heading bug to your current heading, which is that yellow dot you see there on our HSI. That's roughly there. Momentarily switch to heading mode, and then we will switch the frequency and then get back to localizer mode. And then the aircraft should align itself with the course, and we should keep tracking the VOR. So while we are here, let's take a look at our arrival chart. If you remember from the previous episode, we have a VOR 113.55. We will use this to tune our M.2 so that we are aware how far away we are from Manchester. We might not get a signal yet, but we will eventually get a signal from the station. 113.55 is set there, and we are waiting to receive the signal from Manchester VOR. Last thing I want to discuss is the top of descent calculation. So if you remember the approach, let me pull the chart and show you guys. It's runway 05 right from last tutorial, and this is what we are going to do. We will track 113.55 and make a right turn when we are overhead, track course 218 up to 14 DME to Manchester, and then commence a right turn to course 052 to do our final part of the flight and capture the localizer and glide slope and land to runway 05. So what we will do is we will have to be at 3000 at around Manchester VOR so that we are safe at that altitude and we can fly outbound and turn around. So 14 miles, we can be a little bit high, like maybe 4, but we will be conservative and try to do it as early as we can. So we have to descend. If you check the chart, we need to descend down to 3000 to capture the glide slope. So that means we need to lose 18,000 feet. If we times that by 3 and we started to pick up the signal, that is 18 times 3 is 54, and we'll add a 10-mile buffer, so that's 64. Wow, weather update, I guess. At 64 miles to Manchester, we are going to start our descent. So we still have a little bit way to go, and then we will start our descent at around 64 miles to Manchester VOR. I will see you when we are at descent. Welcome back, friends. We are at 64 miles to Manchester. If you read the DME, we are below 64 actually, so we need to start our descent. Cut the throttles back first to almost idle. We'll go vertical speed mode. We'll set the altitude to 3000. Arm the altitude, and then we will press the sync button and pitch the aircraft down to about 2000 feet per minute. And we will resync, and aircraft should start descending into Manchester. So that's good. We will monitor and see where we need to be at, and we will also switch to local barometric pressure when we are close to Manchester. I will run the METAR and take a look at the QNH at Manchester, and that should get us what we need. Alright, current METAR at Manchester shows winds are coming from 200 at 6 knots, so not too bad. Temperature is 11 degrees, dew point is 8. We have some cloud coverage as well, and the QNH is 1006. So we will set that when we are getting close to 10,000. Right now what we need to do is to monitor the descent. And we will also tune Manchester VOR 113.55 to here on standby. And because we are picking the signal, we can in fact switch to Manchester VOR by going heading mode, changing the frequency, and going back to localizer. So what little Namnet suggests is to track Manchester VOR on course 09 or 5. So that's coming from the flight plan routing in Little Navmap. So if you are interested in learning how I am planning a flight using Little Navmap and just through VOR ADB stations, just let me know in the comments and I will happily record the tutorials on how to do that. Alright, so we are on descent and we will keep doing and monitoring the rate and where we are at and how much time we got left to Manchester, and I will bring you guys back when we are getting close to 10,000. See you in a little bit. We are coming down to 10,000 and we are now 25 miles away from Manchester. We are actually at 10,000, so landing lights will come on. At this point, seatbelt signs are on. Anti-ice is turned on because we are passing through the clouds. And we will start the APU at this point to have APU air on and turn off the engine air. So while the APU is starting, let's tune the Manchester localizer for our approach. That's 111.55. We will tune that to Nav 1 and Nav 2. And the course, our final approach course, if you remember, is 052. We will set that here. And we will synchronize our heading to current heading. That's the APU available. We'll put the APU generator on bus, APU air on, and engine airs can come off now. That will affect our anti-ice systems, but I think we should be fine, or we can keep the engine air as well for the anti-ice systems, and then we will turn it off when we are below the clouds. Alright, let's monitor our speed. We should be below 250. We are at about 250, and we will do a flaps 33 landing, and our reference speed is 120, so we will bug that when we extend the flaps. Until that, the placard doesn't work, so we will keep monitoring that and see where we are at. 14 miles to Manchester, 7,000, so 4,000 to go. I think that's gonna work just fine. We can also sink and shallow the descent a little bit to bleed off some of our speed and maybe do like maybe 1,500 feet per minute. That will help us to slow down. And I'm also using the speed brakes, as you see here and here, and do not hesitate to use those in this aircraft, otherwise you will overspeed when you are descending. This is what that aircraft designed for. Alright, so speed is looking good, descent rate is looking good. We are at 10 miles to Manchester, and we are at 6,000, 3,000 to go. Times that by 3, at about 9 miles we should be at our target altitude. Now let's bring the speed brakes in and see what the speed does. If it starts creeping up, which it started immediately, we will bring the speed brake back and keep descending like this. Alright, we are almost there, guys. We are almost at Manchester VOR, and we need to get prepared for a couple things, because when we are overhead we are going to switch heading mode, and remember the chart, we are going to fly outbound on course 218. We can also use the course and change it to 218. That should be a right turn, and the aircraft should follow that along with us. So we'll keep an eye on the speed. Altitude looks good. We are at 5 miles and 4,000. We can shallow the descent just a tad more. It started raining, as you see from the windows. We'll just go 1,000 feet per minute. That should help us with the speed too, as we need to think about extending the flaps and getting ready for landing. 4 miles, getting ready. We are going to use the radio navigation and set the course to 218. You can also go heading mode and heading 218 as well, which I can switch and set for now as a secondary measure, because we will need that eventually to switch frequencies to the localizer frequency. And we will monitor the DME from Manchester, so let's put Manchester on hold so that we have the DME reading. 3.4, and that's the other one is the localizer. So 3 miles to Manchester, and at about Manchester we will turn to course 218. Alright, 2.2, 2.1, almost there, and we are almost at 3,000. And we can shallow the descent a little bit more because we have a long way to go. Bring the speed brakes in. A little bit floaty there and jumpy, but we should settle on the vertical speed and get down to 3000 no problem. Alright, we are overhead Manchester. Let's change the colors to 218. And the aircraft should start turning around to fly the published approach, which you can also see here. That's not going to be quite accurate due to these lines not being on scale, but we need to maintain the speed. We are at 3000, so I will increase the throttle just a tad bit at about 60% M1 and see where it leaves us, because I don't want to bleed off too much speed and worry about getting the engines back up, but we should slow down. So we are at 3000 doing 250 indicated airspeed, and the speed should bleed off on its own. If we keep the throttles around 50, we should bleed the speed off to 205 and start extending flaps. Alright, aircraft is getting back on course, a little bit fast on the turn, so I think we should slow her and help the aircraft turn a little bit faster to get on course. And we are already at 4 miles out. Let's set our minimums here. Our minimums is 530, so we will set 200 on the decision height, because this doesn't have radio minimums, so we will use barometric minimums. I'm sorry, we will use radio minimums and we will not use.
Select flaps 18.
Alright, we are still tracking outbound on 218 and waiting for 14 DME to make that right turn. We need to keep our speed under control, so I'll come back on the thrust a little bit, and we will keep the heading mode. We will arm the localizer. We are not going to capture it just now because we are far away, and when we turn right and get closer to the localizer, the aircraft should capture the localizer. Alright, so let's keep the speed right there. And there we go. That's Manchester for you guys. Coming up to 10 miles on the DME right here, and we will be turning to left or to right slowly, not too fast. 10 miles. We are still waiting for 11. Oh, not 11, 14. 11 is not that one, and as you see here, we are very close to that line, so we should be fine. We can always go a little bit to the right, which we will eventually do to capture the localizer, so we can get right a little bit and get back on track again and watch the needle coming. So that's not the Manchester VOR, that's the localizer we are reading on our HSI. So we'll just use the map, which you will not have in real life, but okay. 13 miles, we are getting ready to make the turn, so let's come back on the thrust and start slowing down, because we need to start thinking about the rest of the flaps. We are still at flaps 18. Thirteen 8, 13 9, and let's start turning to the right slowly. We'll make that right turn, and we will also arm the glide slope and wait for both to be captured by our aircraft. Right, we will fly like this for a while to get closer to the localizer, and then the aircraft should do the rest for us. So that looks okay to me. We are flying towards the needle, so the needle should start coming into the middle, and then we should see localizer captured. This should turn to green, and glide slope will turn to green when we capture the glide slope as well. Alright, speed is looking good. We will maintain the current speed. Go flaps 24. And we are almost there to capture the localizer. You should see that turning to green very shortly. I'm just controlling the thrust. Looks like we captured the localizer, it turned to green. I don't know why we don't hear the co-pilot saying localizer captured, but so be it. And now we will wait for 10 miles and drop the landing gear and the rest of the flaps. We will keep the speed around 140 until we capture the glide slope.
Glide slope captured.
Glide slope captured, there we go. Now we can come back on the throttles, drop our landing gear. Let's settle around 58-57% M1 and go flaps. Established on the ILS, that is perfect. And we are waiting for the minimums now. Alright. Flaps 30 and final stage of flaps now are extended. We are aiming for 120 on the speed bug. As you see there on the placard, it says 119, so let's set that to 119 and we will click this. It should set it for us. Yep, it did. So we are slowing down. We'll maintain this attitude and take over when we are getting close to the minimums, or when we see a visual of the runway, which we don't at this point. Right, landing lights, everything on, seatbelt signs are on, and we are still in the clouds, so we will keep the anti-ice systems because it's raining. The weather, the temperature is not too bad. It's above 0 Celsius, but we will still keep the anti-ice systems on for conservative measures. Alright, still looking for the runway lights. I see something in the distance right there. I don't know if it's the runway. It looks like the runway to me. So now we can slow down just a little bit more and get on our approach speed. We are a little bit above the glide slope. That's probably due to our speed. Let's cut the throttles down just a little bit more. And there is the runway. 2 red, 2 green, 2 white. 2 red, 2 white on the poppies. We are good. 1,000 feet. We have the visual of the runway, which means we can disconnect the auto throttle, autopilot, and our plane now, and we will carry out the rest of the landing. We'll pitch down and control the aircraft to maintain the center line, and keep an eye on the poppies to make sure we are not losing the glide slope. Alright, we are looking fine. I'm gonna pitch up a little bit because I feel like I'm descending a little bit faster and losing the glide slope there. So we are on glide slope if you look at the needle, so we are a little bit low. So when you get closer, I think you follow the poppy lights and do not worry about the glide slope. So let's get back on profile and get 2 whites, 2 reds on there. 100 checked. Alright, we'll just pitch up a little bit. Minimums continue. Right, back on profile. Let the nose down a little bit to maintain the profile. We are still low a little bit. Let's get that.
50, 40,
Alright.
30. 20,
Close the throttles.
10,
Ground idle.
Touch down, let the nose down, extend the speed brakes, and maintain the center
Spoilers.
lines. Alright, nose wants to lift off, so forward pressure on the stick and then manual braking.
80 knots.
Alright, not too bad landing.
60 knots.
Floaty. Still having the side effects of those ground effect of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but we'll take this high-speed exit and clean up the aircraft. Speed brakes are retracted, flaps are coming in, and we'll just go to taxi lights. Runway exit lights can come off. Transponder can go back to TARA, to standby, and now we can turn off the weather radar even if it's not working. Alright, we don't need the DME anymore. Radios will stay on for now, and we will taxi and find ourselves a parking spot. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the second 146 video where we only used our Nav Radios to reach to Manchester, to the same destination airport. I hope you learned something today and you liked the video. If you did, please take a second to hit that like button, and if you are not a channel subscriber, I would very appreciate your support if you consider subscribing and taking a couple seconds to do that to support the channel so that I can keep going on with the videos and feel like I am doing something right so that people are enjoying the content. Let me know in the comments how your experience with the 146 goes in terms of either RNAV flight plan or radio navigation. I will be very curious to hear about your experience, and I think this is a very accurately modeled aircraft with a very nice flight model, and it's very pleasing to hand fly. Still having the effects of that ground effect of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I think that's a learning curve for all of us to learn how to land this aircraft properly. Landing was actually not too bad. The nose wanted to lift up, so I had to apply forward pressure on the stick. Even if the speed brakes were up, the nose wanted to go up again. Alright, so we'll take this taxiway and find ourselves a parking spot at the terminal building somewhere over there, and wrap up the flight there. We will not do the shutdown, we did that last time. We will just park the aircraft, and I will close the video there, and we'll meet in the next video when it's time. I think in the next video I will be recording a full flight tutorial with the PMDG737. I know it just came out and I was planning to record it, but there are a lot of content and there is a huge hype. I just wanted to have some time with the aircraft, do a test flight, learn a little bit before I can record a tutorial and start talking about how to fly that aircraft and what it has to offer. So that will come next. And then I know I posted about the MD82, but PMDG I think takes priority at this point, and we will come back to MD82 after the PMDG video and do a full flight with the MD82 as well. Alright. Weather is not too bad in Manchester. I think typical British weather. We are looking for a parking spot over here. I'm not gonna taxi too much and hold you guys here, so we will park probably somewhere there next to that delta. This might not be the appropriate parking spot for this aircraft, but we will just excuse ourselves and park right there in front of us where that jetway is. That will be the end of the flight, and yeah, we will wrap it up there. So let me get there and try to park this aircraft as accurately as I possibly can. I still don't see any leading lines of that parking spot, so Probably I will see it here in a little bit. It looks like a little bit off to the left, so maybe we should take a slight right and then approach, or is that the leading line? What are you doing, sir? Okay, that looks like the line, so we will come over here. We will turn off the taxi lights. We don't want to blind anyone. And we will get our aircraft on the gate and park there. Nice. And it taxis very nice, so I cannot tell you how pleased I am with the taxi performance and how the aircraft handles the turns. I'll go a little bit more forward. We are not going to connect the jetway. We will use our own stairs, and we will probably come and stop somewhere here before hitting that tug. That sounds about right. Let's set the parking brake. Parking brakes are set. Our APU is running. We know that for sure. Engine air comes off. Continuous ignition comes off. Engine anti-ice comes off. The anti-ice systems comes off. We'll keep the APU air for now. APU gen on the bus. We'll go, and PTU is on. I'm not sure if I should have turned it on before landing, but now we can shut down our engines. Then strobe is already turned off. We will turn off the beacon when the engines pull down. They are very quick, but we will wait. Release warnings, and let's pull the master warning system into off mode. Beacon light can now come off, and we'll go to the aircraft menu, put the chocks in, request ground power, and open the door and let the stairs out to deboard the aircraft. So stairs are coming out, and as I said, I will not do the full shutdown, but we will turn around and wrap the video right here at Manchester. Alright guys, thank you very much for staying here with me in this video, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.